How many of you have seen those Snickers ads? For example, the one with Betty White, where she's playing football with a bunch of guys and she gets tackled. And the guy says, "Hey, Mike, why are you playing like Betty White?" And she says, "I haven't been feeling myself today." Then someone hands her a Snickers bar and she takes a bite. And Betty White turns into a guy named Mike. This commercial implies that hunger can change your mood or personality. But poor and inadequate diet can cause health problems. And food insecurity and hunger can also cause mental health problems. In the past, studies have focused on the effects of food insecurity on physical health, and now they're starting to focus more on mental health. For decades, health conscious people have been aware of the physical benefits of eating healthy and some of the mental effects they get from eating healthy, such as lowered depression and eating omega 3s for better health brain function. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture at USDA.gov, the 870 million people in the United States were food insecure in 2019, and that rate has risen since the pandemic. They define food insecurity as having access by all people at all times to enough food for an active, healthy life. This is a global problem that is an issue of human rights and morality. The effects of food insecurity increases the risk of behavioral problems, depression, thoughts of suicide, substance abuse, and ADHD, mostly in young adults and children, and also adults. Parents, such as single moms, dads, and new mothers experiencing food insecurity can have stress, depression, anxiety, and postpartum depression, which can affect a parent's ability to provide enough social, emotional, and mental support to their child, which can also affect the child's mental health as well. In the African American community, a history of racism, social disparity, and generational poverty has increases the risk of food insecurity and mental health issues. A study by Nicholas Allen showed that African Americans who were food insecure were associated with having over 6 times higher psychological disorders compared to those living at or above 200% of the poverty level. And the homeless, they're comprised of men, women, and children of all ages, races, backgrounds, and those include people with HIV who are more susceptible to having pre-existing mental health issues like depression. Their hunger raises the risk of those mental illnesses and for their developing those mental illnesses or even developing or worsening already existing conditions. The elderly are most vulnerable of our food insecure population. These are our grandparents, our parents, and eventually will be us. And we will be part of this population. Elderly individuals mostly live on fixed incomes and may not be mobile or able to shop or fix meals for themselves, and this leaves them susceptible to food insecurity and increased mental illness such as depression or dementia. Studies on many populations around the world have shown the effects of mental health from food insecurity has common links throughout all of these populations. Samantha Estacio did a controlled lab study of mice to observe the behavioral reaction of food insecurity. Mice were used because they have similar food consumption reactions as humans. The results showed that eating patterns, declines in cognitive function, and memory deficiencies were the results of food insecurity. The study explains individuals experiencing hunger may exhibit irrational behavior as observed in homeless and elderly populations. So, what is the actual biological link to mental health disorders caused by food insecurity? According to researcher Laura Pryor, when calorie restriction occurs, this has been shown to increase cortisol secretion and amplify stress reactivity, which further predisposes to mental health problems. The chemical and biological effects from the lack of nutrients is exhibited in a 2020 study of Iranian adults observed by Zoreh Sadat Sangzafidi. The results of this study says fruits and vegetables contain carbs which increase serotonin, and serotonin means good mood and less depression, anxiety, and stress. And dairy has calcium, which equals emotional regulation and decreases irritability and mood changes. This explains a Snickers commercial. High fats produce free radicals in the brain, which cause inflammation and contribute to increased depression. Food insecure individuals may also rely on food pantries, and they supply canned and boxed goods, non-perishable items, and these items do not contain the sufficient nutritional value that's needed to sustain good mental or physical health. So in conclusion, food insecurity causes individuals to reduce caloric intake and eat unhealthy diets, resulting in a lack of nutrient essentials good for mental health. Many people suffer from food insecurity regardless of age, race, gender, or socioeconomic background. Scientific studies have shown that there is a definite link between food insecurity and mental health, and having access to sufficient amounts of healthy food is not only essential to health and society, but it is a basic human right. More holistic approaches are needed to fill the gaps in our social system that can provide consistent, healthy food along with mental and physical health needs.